Hello, what is up? Aldair here, and I'm going to talk about the Mistborn Trilogy. So before we get into it, if you like this video, then feel free to share it and like it and subscribe for more. Barely starting out this little booktube channel, so it would be great if you guys subscribe before forgetting. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to talk about the non-spoiler part. So I'll give you a warning to jump out once it's spoiler material, so I don't ruin the story for you. So yeah, the Mistborn Trilogy starts with the first Mistborn book, The Final Empire, or however it's named. My copy just said Mistborn on it. And then the second book would be The Well of Ascension, and then the third one would be The Hero of Ages. The books themselves are great. It's a great trilogy. I really loved it. In terms of ranking them, I would probably rank The Hero of Ages as the best one for me, and then the first Mistborn book, and then the third one being The Well of Ascension. They're still all great books. They come really close to comparing with each other, but Hero of Ages, like, just that book really... It really sold it to me. In terms of if it's a good story, I would say yes, it's an amazing story. Even though it's one of Brandon Sanderson's first published works, it still works. It still manages to tie in the cosmere really good. So if you're looking for more information on the cosmere, start out with that, and it'll introduce you both to the cosmere world and fantasy as a whole. So you should really check it out. Now let's talk about spoilers. Alright, I want to talk about the things I liked about the book and just the story itself. The ending of the book, let's just talk about the ending right away. So if you haven't read, no, actually I'll just talk about the ending for each book. So I'll start off with Mistborn, and then The Well of Ascension, and then Hero of Ages. So if you haven't read any of the books, then please click out now, go read the series. You can come back to this video, it's not going anywhere, I'm not taking it down, I hope. Yeah, the first Mistborn book. Let's talk about that one first. I don't know what I'm doing now. Yeah. So, the first Mistborn book, when I just love the crew, like the thieving crew. Calcier leading it. Ham's probably I would say Breeze. Breeze would probably be my favorite member because he's just like a nobleman, but he's not a nobleman. He just pretends to be one to the point where he fits into the role so perfectly. And yeah, Breeze would probably be my favorite thieving member. Aside from Calcier, which I like how he turns into like this Christ type figure with the survivor's religion. It was pretty cool, but the ending itself for the Mistborn book, it's just, I like it. It was good. It was good that Vin and Ellen got together. I was rooting for them, but yet again I was suspecting Ellen for a bit, and I don't know if Brandon Sanderson writes that in, because when Sazed finds Vin talking to Ellen for the first time, one of the lines says that he was looking at them smiling. So I was like, oh no, he's actually he knows something. He's probably a secret obligator, inquisitor type of guy. But I'm just glad that he was actually just a guy, like some idealist who's like, no racism, but with that whole book, it's amazing, it's perfect, and just like, those Mexican kids in El Paso in cages, I got trapped into the story, and I kept reading. So now let's talk about The Well of Ascension. Yeah, the book starts out pretty slow, and it goes into these politics about being a king, because after the Lord Ruler is killed in the first book, there's this whole power gap, and they need a king, and Ellen fits the bill for some reason. I don't know how it got to that. I mean, if I read the Federalist Papers and then society suddenly crumbled, I feel like I would be the best fit. You see, it doesn't really make sense, but Ellen was the king of the god. And yeah, and it goes into these politics about how to be a governor. There's Tinswell, who becomes like his mentor on how to be a good king. And I like that whole section where Ellen's being toughened up, because I can relate to that. I can relate to his well, not really, because he's so passive, and I'm just as passive as him, and I can relate to that. But yet again, it didn't help how slow it was for me. And then the Vin and Zane things, I don't know, I felt pretty weirded out by that. I feel like the Zane reveal should have been more of a bigger thing, but yet again, it lost its effect when Straff was like, yeah, he's one of my many missing children. So Ellen has like a lot of brothers out there. Who knows? It makes sense. It makes sense why it wasn't such a big reveal. I mean, Ellen still reacted to it. He was like, well, my brother, what? So that still worked in its own way. But it was a really, really slow start. And one of the other parts that I really did like following along, like these chapters where I'm like, oh, can we get back to this character, was Sazed's point of view, where he's like discovering things. And then he makes his way back to Luthadel. Sazed's point of view was amazing. And then when he starts realizing that this entity, this force, is literally grooming them or screwing up their prophecies and to make it into his own thing, that really creeped me out. And then I liked how creepy that was and how Sazed goes. And then Marsh, I was gonna say Moash, but that's from the Stormlight Archive. Marsh shows up and he's like creepy. Like Marsh's whole presence throughout the last 2 books is just creepy, and I like it because like he's this force where you're like, oh, yep, someone's gonna die or someone's gonna get hurt, and yeah, and then the whole power is let out, and then the main villain is finally free in the ending of the book, and then that really made it up for me, and I felt great reading it. Yeah, another notable character that I really liked was Tensoon. If you haven't read the book and you haven't finished The Well of Ascension, then you know who that is. But Tensoon, turns out he was there with us the whole time, never left, or never jumped in, or whatever. Yeah, Tensoon was really great, and I like how he started getting closer to Vin, and I like that how they started building that friendship between both Khandra and a human being. And then the Hero of Ages, what did I like about it? Primarily, again, one of the biggest criticisms about the Hero of Ages is just Vin and Ellen's stories were just getting so slow. I know that was like mainly the biggest important thing about their journeys, where they were trying to go from cache to cache, looking for hints from the Lord Ruler, and then Vin getting trapped, and going to the balls before that, and going to dances, and trying to work more politics in the midst of a world ending. It got very frustrating for me, so that really slowed the book for me a lot. But the points of views that I loved were the other points of views besides Vin and Ellen's, which was Sazed, Breeze, Spook, and Tensoon. But aside from that, let me go back to the Well of Ascension, where Breeze also has his points of views, and that also worked great. So having that difference besides Vin and Ellen, because they got very redundant, I got very frustrated, and yeah, eventually Spook became one of my favorite characters too, with his like vigilante like hero arc, where I was like, whoa. And then he suddenly got Pewter, and I kind of knew something was up, because I know that wasn't Kelsier. Kelsier wouldn't just tell you to chop a man, because, you know, that's not his way for the most part. And Sazed, like, he becomes such a hopeless character, and I'm here for it. I know that sounds mean, but I can relate to that, where like he's trying to transition himself into atheism in a world where like the world is ending, and I can understand that. But yet again, it's incredible that he still holds on to hope, because he does have every religion in his copper mines, and it's incredible that he didn't completely give up hope once Tinwil died, once his other keeper brethren got slaughtered and killed. If that was me and I was like the only Mexican left, then I would probably be like, oh dang, you know, depression, because, you know, that would mean my family's gone. I can't talk to anyone about Pan Dulce for all I know. And Sazed has like the balls of steel, which is ironic because he does not have any balls. At the end of the book, when Sazed becomes Harmony and he starts actually piecing together the prophecy, that was genius. Because this buildup is 2 books worth of buildup. Well, 3 if you count the Hero of Ages as well, where like Sanderson like ties it all up, and it all makes sense. And kudos to you, Brandon. I don't know how you do it. Eventually, like, Vin and Ellen die off, and I thought it was just right, you know, because like I feel like they gave up a lot of their life to this world, and it seems right. And I did cry when like says it does bring back their bodies and has them holding hands in the little field of flowers. I feel like that was just right. It was a great image. It did make me cry, and eventually when I closed the final book, I was just like, oh, that's it. I'm done with the first era of Mistborn, and I know there's a second era, but I'm not ready to dive into it. It's like like ending a really good relationship with someone. It's just like, oh, I need to give myself some time before I jump into something similar that reminds me of that same relationship. But yeah, I feel empty now. Wow, this series is actually pretty good, and I kind of hate that I read through it in 1 week. Yeah, I read through it in 1 week thanks to my Kindle. It was great. I really recommend, if you've already read it and you've already made it this far in the video, you should probably give it a reread. It was a great series, and I feel like, I don't know, you'll probably find some nitbits and Easter eggs in there. Who knows? Something to come for the future. But yeah, it was a great series, and like I don't know what I'm gonna dive into next. Like, recommend something, because I'm either thinking Game of Thrones or that one series by John Gwynne, The Shadow of the Gods, I believe. Something like that. Either way, if you like it and you made it this far, hit that like, subscribe, and then I'll see you guys on the next one, where I'll talk about each book individually and then analyze it, because I feel like this was more of like a value pack, like those Pizza Hut pizza boxes where you get a little bit of everything. But we'll focus on each individual book later on. I just wanted to release this one first because like I need something on this channel. But yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one.